In a forgotten corner of the world, hidden behind ancient mountains and veiled by misty woods, there stood a village untouched by time. The villagers lived quiet, humble lives, nestled at the edge of the Ellerwood, a forest so vast and dark that none dared enter it after sunset. The villagers feared the forest, for it was said to be alive, ruled by an unseen deity, known only as the Forest God. Every generation, the village offered a bride to the Forest God, a pact made centuries ago during a time of famine and fire when the village faced ruin. The elders whispered that the god saved them in return for loyalty and tribute. The chosen bride would walk alone into the woods on the night of the blood moon, never to return. No one knew what became of them, only that, after each offering, the forest remained calm, the crops flourished, and no wild beasts threatened their homes. This time, the lot fell upon Liora, a young woman with hair like raven silk and eyes the color of moss after rain. She was beloved in the village, gentle, kind, and gifted in healing herbs. But fate had chosen her, and the village dared not defy the old promise. Liora didn't cry when they came to her. She stood quietly as the elders painted her with sacred ochre, wrapped her in the ceremonial crimson veil, and laid white flowers in her hair. "I will walk into the forest," she said simply, her voice steady but distant. "I will do what must be done." The night of the blood moon came, painting the sky a deep, otherworldly red. The villagers gathered in silence at the edge of Ellerwood. The trees loomed like towering spirits, swaying without wind. Liora stood at the border between the human world and the god's realm, a flickering lantern in her hand. Without a word, she stepped into the trees. The forest swallowed her instantly. Liora walked deeper and deeper, the air growing thick with ancient magic. Strange plants pulsed with light. Eyes watched her from the shadows, not threatening, but curious. The deeper she went, the more the forest changed. Time seemed to slow. The ground was soft with moss that shimmered faintly, and the trees arched like cathedral ceilings. She should have been afraid, but something inside her stirred, not fear, but awe. Then she saw it, a clearing lit by the red moonlight, and in its center, a throne of roots and stone. And him, the forest god. He was nothing like she imagined. No monster, no beast. He stood tall, his form both human and not. His skin was bark and gold, his hair a flowing river of leaves, his eyes glowing like amber suns. He wore a crown of antlers, each one carved with runes that shifted as he moved. "You are not afraid," he said, his voice like wind through branches. Liora met his gaze. "Should I be?" He tilted his head. "Most who enter here tremble. Some beg. You walk as though the forest belongs to you." She smiled faintly. "Perhaps it does." A long silence passed between them, and then he stepped down from his throne. Each step he took, the plants beneath his feet bloomed. "You were not chosen by chance, Liora of the village. The forest whispered your name before the elders did." She blinked. "What do you mean?" He walked around her slowly. Long ago, when this pact was made, it was not only a sacrifice, it was a bond. The bride does not die. She becomes one with the forest. The forest chooses its queen. Liora's heart pounded. "You mean I will live here? Forever?" "If you wish it," the forest god said, "but you must choose freely." You may return. The village will not be punished, but if you stay, you will never age. You will walk with me through centuries. You will feel every leaf, every root. You will become something more." Liora looked at the forest around her, at the glowing flowers, the deep humming life, the magic she had always felt in herbs and rain and soil. "I was never meant for a simple life. I've always felt the world had something more, something old and powerful, something I could never touch until now." He extended his hand. "Then walk with me." She took it. Years passed, or perhaps days, for time in the forest was no longer linear. Liora became part of the woods. She shed her mortal form and emerged renewed, her skin kissed with green and her eyes now glowing like moonlit rivers. She and the forest god walked side by side, healing wounded deer, whispering to ancient trees, weaving spells from starlight and root. She came to understand the forest's language. The rustle of leaves was a greeting, the creak of branches a song. She learned that the forest god had once been mortal too, a prince who sacrificed himself to save the land from fire, becoming its eternal guardian. She was not his prisoner. She was his equal. Together, they kept balance, punishing those who came with axes and fire, guiding lost children back home, calling rain in times of drought. Liora's name became legend. Some called her the Green Bride, others the Forest Queen, and some even whispered her name in prayers. Every generation, a new bride was offered, but the pact had changed. Liora walked to the edge of the forest, veiled in silver moss, and said, "No more sacrifices. The forest needs no blood. It needs respect." And so it was. The villagers began to bring gifts, saplings, songs, stories. They asked permission to hunt, to gather, and the forest, once feared, became sacred. One day, a young girl from the village wandered too deep. She tripped, scraped her knee, and cried under a giant oak. A woman, cloaked in vines and moonlight, appeared beside her. "Don't be afraid," she said gently, pressing a cool hand to her wound. The cut vanished. "Are you the Forest Queen?" the girl asked. "Yes." "Will you tell me a story?" Liora sat beside her. "Of course. I will tell you the tale of a girl who walked into the forest and found her destiny." The girl listened with wide eyes. The trees leaned closer, and far above, the blood moon rose again, not as a sign of sacrifice, but of a love older than time, deeper than roots.